A very good morning to one and all present over here. Um, I am S. Maniandan, Department of Mechanical Engineering. Today we have to see about manufacturing technology, which is related to our GATE examination preparation. This is specifically for scheme for preparing SCST students for higher education. It is for GATE AICT Prana scheme. Okay, it is a very useful program. So kindly take notes on it, and we have to well set for the preparation of GATE. Best of luck to one and all. Here we have to know, all of you know about the manufacturing technology, and what are the different types of process available in manufacturing technologies. Here we have to discuss some of the important things repeatedly asked in GATE examination. The first one, segmental chips are formed during machining. Segmental chips are formed during machining. Which type of material? The different options are mild steel, cast iron, high speed steel, and high carbon steel. If anyone knows the answer, kindly discuss with me, or else I will tell the answer. Anyone? Okay, fine. I will explain you. Segmental chips are formed during machining of cast irons. I will elaborate you. The chip is produced in the form of small pieces. These type of chips are obtained while machining brittle metals like cast iron. Okay, whenever the machining is carried out, these type of chips are obtained while machining brittle metals. Brittle metals is cast iron. That's what segmental chips are formed in cast irons. Chips produced for hard and brittle metals are known as discontinuous chips, as cast iron is of hard and brittle metals, therefore chips are discontinuities. As we go for ferrous materials, critical structures not machined smooth at high speed machining for cast iron. So during machining process, chips form continuous segments. So these are different types of chips we are forming, depends upon the material of usage. Okay, so the segmental chips are formed during machining cast iron. Cast iron is the correct one. Okay, next question. Cemented carbide tool tips are produced by powder metrology. Is it true or false? Cemented carbide tool tips are produced by power metrology. Is it true or false? Take your time and tell me the answer. Okay, can we discuss? Cemented carbide tool tips are produced by power metrology is true, because cemented carbide tool tips are generally employed to cut or machine hard materials like carbon steel and stainless steel, etc. Okay, so its wear rate should be very low for long life and accurate cut. That's what it is suitable. Okay, power metrology is a process of blending powder materials with additive and pressing it to form desired shape. Whatever we want, we have to produce. That's what we tell it as desired shape. Then heating and quenching it in furnace, these processes should be carried out regularly. The microstructure of components made by power metrology are very fine, and this increases the strength and less wear rate. Okay, so the microstructure of components made by power metrology are very fine, and this increases the strength and less wear rate. Okay, so the cemented carbides is a cutting tool. which is having good wear resistance. So it is produced by power metrology for the material strength increases. Okay, very clear. Cemented carbide tool tips are produced by power powder metrology. It's a true statement. Note on it. The right answer is true. Okay. Can we go for the next one? Okay. If the diameter of the hole is subjected to considerable variation, then for locating in jigs and fixtures, the pressure type of locator used is. If the diameter of the hole is subjected to considerable variation, then for locating in jigs and fixtures, the pressure type of locators used is, where it is a conical locator or a cylindrical locator or a dynamic diamond pin locator or V locator. Kindly choose any one of the locator. Kindly think of it and tell the answer, whether it is a conical locator or a cylindrical locator or diamond pin locator or V locator. Once again, repeat the question. If the diameter of the hole is subjected to considerable variation, then for locating in jigs and fixtures, the pressure type of locator used is conical locator, cylindrical locator, diamond pin locator, or V locator. Think of it. Okay, I'll explain you. Okay, commonly first one, the conical locator. Conical locator shape, the conical locators has a wide range of variation in diameter, which can be held on. So far this case it is suitable. Okay, first it is on the, we have to concentrate on which type of locator it is adaptable for. Diameter of the hole is subjected to considerable variation, that's the question. So the conical locators had a wide range of variations in diameter, so it may be suitable. So the correct answer is conical locate, because diamond is also a hard material and good strength, but at any situation it breaks, then it becomes too costly to purchase as compared to another tools. Okay, so a better one is conical locator, and the conical locator is used for locating the workpiece having cylindrical hole in the workpiece. Okay, the workpiece is found located by supporting it over the conical locator inserted into the drilled hole of the workpiece. Actually, V locators is commonly used for locating the circular and the semicircular type of workpieces, whereas cylindrical locator is used for locating components. Okay, there is a difference between each and one. And whereas the V locators are also best for holding materials. It also suitable for holding the materials. But for this desired question, pressure type of locator used is conical locator. Okay, so the answer is conical locator. Kindly note down the answer. I also described the purpose of each and every options. So kindly make note on it. Okay. Don't simply write down the answer. Kindly write the descriptions. What are all I explained. Okay. Make it fast. And the next question. Side rack angle of a single point cutting tool is the angle by which one? By which the face of the tool is inclined towards back. Option 2, by which the face of the tool is inclined sideways. And third one, between the surface of the flake immediately below the point and a plane at right angles to the center line of the point of the tool. And fourth option is between the surface of the flake immediately below the point perpendicular to the base. So what one is suitable? Kindly read the question once again. Side rack angle of a single point cutting tool is the angle by which one? By which the face of the tool is inclined towards back, by which the face of the tool is inclined sideways, between the surface of the flake immediately below the point and a plane at right angle to the center line of the point to the tool. And fourth option is between the surface of the flake immediately between the point and a line drawn from the point perpendicular to the base. Which one is suitable? Kindly think of it and we will discuss the answer. Okay, let us we discuss the answer. Before we discuss about the question, first we have to know about the side rack angle. Side rack angle is a angle by which the face of the tool is inclined to the sideways. The angle by which the face of the tool is inclined to the sideways. The angle of tool determines the thickness of the tool behind the cutting edge. So it is defined as a side rack angle. This tool is to provide clearance between the workpiece and the tool. So as to prevent the rubbing of the workpiece with the end flake of the tool. The purpose of side rack angle tool is to prevent the rubbing of workpiece with the end flake of the tool. So it makes a smooth operation while we handling the machining. Okay, and positive rack angle implies the sum of clearance angle and wedge angle is less than 90. So it should be keep it in mind. Okay, positive rack angle implies the sum of clearance angle and wedge angle is less than 90 degree, whereas the negative rack offers a strong tool tip which makes the tool more resilient under impact loading. Okay, what is meant by positive rack angle and negative rack angle? Positive rack angle implies the sum of clearance angle and wedge angle is less than 90 degree, whereas the negative rack offers a strong tool tip which makes the tool more resilient under impact loading. Okay, zero rack angle is between the positive and negative angle. We all know that. Okay, but here now we have to come to the question. Side rack angle of a single point cutting tool is the angle by which the face of the tool is inclined sideways. Option 2 is a correct one. By which the face of the tool is inclined sideways. That one is a correct answer. Have you understood? If you viewed behind the tool down the length of the tool holder, it is the angle formed by the face of the tool and the center line of the workpiece. Okay. The positive side rack angle tilts the tool face down towards the floor, and negative angle tilts the face up and towards the workpiece. Okay, so by which the face of the tool is inclined sideways is the exact answer for the side rack angle of a single point cutting tool. No, this one is a correct answer, by which the face of the tool is inclined sideways. Now down. Can I go for the next one? Internal gears can be made by. This is the easiest one question, but it's asked in GATE. Internal gears can be made by hobbing, shaping with pinion cutter, shaping with rack cutter, milling. Internal gears can be made by hobbing, shaping with pinion cutters, shaping with rack cutter, milling. Okay, we will discuss the answer. Okay. Internal gears can be made by shaping with pinion cutters. Internal gears can be made by shaping with pinion cutters. Why not by shaping with racker cutter? It may be a question asked to by everyone. So we have to discuss what is the need of shaping with pinion cutter. Internal gears can be made by shaping with pinion cutters. Internal gears can be cut by gear shaping pinion cutters and also by broaching and single point tool cutters, but broaching is expensive operation, so that's what we avoided. By milling cutter it is not possible. The hobbing machine can't produce internal gears, so the only option is by shaping with the pinion cutter only we have to create the internal gears. Okay, once again I repeat, internal gears can only cut the gear shaping pinion cutters, and also by broaching also we have a handle with a single point cutting tool cutters. Okay, but broaching is expensive process, no, that's what we avoided, and by milling cutters it is not possible. So as well as for hopping machines can't produce internal gears, that's what we go for shaping with the pinion cutters. Okay, any any other answers if you want to discuss? An internal gear having one side blind is produced by pinion cutters, and broaches is done on hollow internal gears. Okay, so broaching is more economic and fast than shaping by pinion cutters, but somehow broaching process is a little bit expensive process. Okay, so the final answer of internal gears can be produced by shaping with pinion cutter. That's the correct answer. No down. Okay, we go for the next question. Sixth one. In order to prevent a tool from rubbing the work on, tools are provided. Which angle? Rack angle or relief angle? In order to prevent tool from rubbing the work, dash on the tool are provided. Whereas rack angle or relief angle. We already discussed with the previous question regarding these angles. If anyone noted, you may tell the answer. In order to prevent tool from rubbing, we already discussed regarding this concern. In order to prevent tool from rubbing the work, dash angle on the tool or prevent provided, rack angle or relief angles. If anyone knows the answer, it's one of the easiest one. Yeah, relief angle. In order to prevent tools from rubbing the work, relief angles on the tools are provided. Anyone know the relief angle? Relief angle or a clearance angle is provided in order to prevent the friction between the tool and the workpiece. Okay, relief angle should be provided because to prevent the friction between the tool and the workpiece. In order to prevent the friction between the tool and the workpiece, the clearance angle must be provided. That should be noted. Okay, in order to prevent the friction between the tool and the workpiece, the clearance angle must be provided. If the tool is set above the axis of the workpiece, there is inverse in rack angle that may reduces the relief angle, so it causes a rubbing action. So in order to avoid these rubbing actions, we have to provide an angle which is known as relief angle. We already know that some of the medicines also available that relief. Okay, what is the meaning of relief? To overcome the issues. That's what it is mentioned as relief. No, if we have a pain, we have to relieve from this pain. So it is named as relief ointments like that. Same, you have to keep it in mind that what is the meaning of relief to overcome the friction between the tool and the workpiece. If the tool is set above the axis of the workpiece, that is inverse in drag angle and reduces the relief angle, so it causes a rubbing action. In order to avoid this rubbing action, we have to provide the relief angle. It is a relief angle or a clearance angle is provided in order to prevent the friction between the tool and the workpiece. Okay. Strength of the tool depends on rack angle, so not relaxation with the friction. That one is also an important one. Okay. Relief angle is the angle between the tool and the workpiece in order to prevent friction. That one is an important thing. So, note down. Relief angle is a correct one in order to prevent tool from rubbing the work. Relief angle on the tool are provided. All noted, right? Yeah, this gate platform is a very good platform. You people are get it. So kindly make use of this opportunity and prepare well for the gate examination and do your best. You have a lot of opportunities when you got a huge score in gate. A lot of central government opportunities are provided for the students, those who secured more and a good score in the gate. It's not a huge or a tough task to prepare the gate examination. You people have to allocate a separate time for the preparation of technical papers and as well as for the aptitude. In our college, we are providing the placement training to the students from the second year onwards for a betterment of their knowledge enhancement towards their placement and as well as for their career. These gate examination preparation is not specifically for clearing the examination. It also enhances your knowledge. There is a lot of opportunities in central government, petrochemical industries and or mechanical industries like production based industries having huge employability. They are depend. They are completely moreover merit like selections are purely based on the gate score only. So kindly take a concern and prepare well and score high. Okay, this is a good platform available in the net too. But we discussed about the repeated gate examination questions. So regularly you have to watch these videos and get benefit on it. Okay, we discussing manufacturing technology. Manufacturing technology is a wide area, not a simple thing. And don't say, sit in 1 or 2 hours and learn all the things. We had to prepare a huge from this manufacturing technology. Basically, strength of material, manufacturing technology, fluid mechanics. Um, these are the fundamental subjects, and you should be very much strong before entering into the gate examination, because these subjects only blaze a platform for our mechanical engineering department. So kindly prepare well these three subjects, and as well as thermodynamics and thermal engineering is another fundamental area of our mechanical engineering. So according to gate examination, these 4 or 5 subjects are most important one. Before you enter into the gate examination, these 5 or 6 subjects should be thoroughly you prepared, and it will be very much easy to clear the examination. Many of them are not preparing and appearing for their examination, so they are facing a lot of troubles for in clearing the gate. But government of India providing a better opportunity for the students to enhance their knowledge with the help of these type of programs. So make use of these opportunities and get a multi-skilled employability. Okay, can you go for the next one? Silicon carbide abrasives is chiefly used for grinding what? Cemented carbide, ceramic, cast iron, or all of these. Okay, silicon carbide abrasive is chiefly used for grinding. Cemented carbide, ceramic, cast iron, all of these. Any idea regarding this question? Actually, silicon carbide abrasive is a hardest one. So it is a rough material. It can grind. I already provided the options: cemented carbide, ceramic, and cast iron. Is these options are very rough and hardest material? Yeah, cemented carbide is a hardest and roughest material. Ceramic, cast iron, all of these are very rough materials. No, so silicon carbide abrasive. Abrasive is chiefly used for grinding all the options: cemented carbides, ceramics, and cast irons. So the right answer is yeah. Due to technical issue, I exceeded. A silicon carbide abrasive is chiefly used for grinding. Which one? Cemented carbide, ceramics, cast iron, all of these. Yeah, already I said that it is a rough material, so it can grind cemented carbide, ceramic, and cast iron. So the right answer is all of these. Okay, silicon carbide. It is also known as a carborundum. It's a compound of silicon and carbon with chemical formula SiC. We commonly tell silicon carbide as SiC. It is a compound of silicon and carbon. Due to hardness of silicon carbide, electrical conductivity and stability at high temperature, it is used in making residual grinding wheel and bricks used in high heat. Okay, it is also recommendable for grinding brass, bronze, like that. All of you note down the answer. The silicon carbide abrasive is chiefly used for grinding cemented carbide, ceramic, and casting. The right answer is all of these. Can I go for the next one? Drilling is an example of. Drilling is an example of what? Orthogonal cutting, oblique cutting, simple cutting, uniform cutting. Orthogonal cutting, oblique cutting, simple cutting, uniform cutting. Drilling is an example of what? All of you know about oblique cutting? Actually, oblique cutting is the cutting edge of the tool less than 90 degree to the direction of the tool travel. That is oblique cutting. Whereas orthogonal cutting is perpendicular to the direction of the tool. But you have to know what is orthogonal cutting and oblique cutting. Orthogonal is the perpendicular to the direction of the tool, whereas oblique means when the cutting edge of the tool less than 90 degree to the direction of the tool travel. Okay. So drilling is oblique cutting because the angle of the threads or drill bits are at angle less than 90 degree. So the right one is oblique cutting. Drilling is an example of oblique cutting. I want to tell you one thing. Okay. In orthogonal cutting, the cutting edge of the tool is perpendicular to the axis of the rotation of workpiece. That is, axis of the rotation to the workpiece means that is 90 degree. While in oblique cutting, cutting edge is inclined at the angle to the workpiece rotating axis. In oblique cutting, the cutting edge is inclined at an angle to the workpiece to the rotating axis. In drilling operation, the drill bit has a point angle which is around 118 to 120 degrees for general purpose, hence it is obliquating. For drilling operation to the orthogonal, the point angle should be 180 degree, which is not possible as a point angle is necessary made less than 180 degree to center to the workpiece in the material. Okay, so the right one is oblique cutting. Drilling is an example of oblique cutting. No, don't. Can we go for the next one? When the cutting edge of the tool is dull, then during machining, what will be the answer? Continuous chips are formed, discontinuous chips are formed, continuous chips with built up edges are formed, no chips are formed. When the cutting edge of the tool is dull, then during machining, options are continuous chips are formed, discontinuous chips are formed, continuous chips with build up edges are formed, and fourth one is no chips are formed. Which one is the correct one? Anyone? Okay, we will discuss it. Okay. Due to more heat developed, there will be a melting of machined surface, and that will cause a little form of welding, due to which a regular edge will form called built-up edges. Okay, we have to know about what is meant by a built-up edge. A built-up edge is due to more heat developed. Okay, due to high heat generated between the tool and the workpiece interface, adherence or welding takes place between the tool and the chip and occurs in ductile material with slow speed. During cutting, because of high coefficient of friction, the temperature will rise up, and some of the chips is deposited to the edge of the cutting tool. This edge of the cutting tool is called built-up edges. Okay, so we have to know that the dull of the cutting edge is occurred during the machining because of continuous chips with built-up edges. Okay, that's what I mentioned. What is meant by built-up edges? Built-up edges are formed when the cutting edge of the tool is dull during the machining process. Once again, I tell you that what is meant by built-up edges. Built-up edges means at the time of machining, more heat generated at the time material changes to melt, and this metal stucks on the deposition, and it will create the built-up edges. Okay, commonly it's occurred during when high coefficient of friction, the temperature will rise up, and some of the chips is deposited to the edge of the cutting tool. Then these edges of the cutting tools is called built-up edges. Okay, we simply know denoted as BUE, built-up edges. BUE. Okay. So the correct answer is when the cutting edge of the tool is dull, then during machining, continuous chips with built-up edges are formed. This one is the correct answer. No down. I think everyone know about the continuous chips. Continuous chips are regularly. There is no issue in when the feed rate is normal and there is no heat generation is produced. The continuous chips will be formed. Discontinuous chips means the feed rate will be a little bit slower, or there is an increase in temperature which leads to discontinuous chips. No chips are formed is not possible. When you have to carry out the machining process, there should be chips formed. Continuous chips or discontinuous chips. Another one is continuous chips with built-up edges. This is due to temperature issues. Okay, can you go for the next one? Cast iron during machining produces. Cast iron during machining produces continuous chips, discontinuous chips, continuous chips with built-up edges. None of this. First, you have to know cast iron is a hardest material. So, when the machining is carried out, which type of chips should be produced? Continuous, discontinuous, or continuous chip with built-up edges? None of this. This question is little bit um, the relationship between the previous question. So kindly keep it in mind. What are the things we discussed previously, and give me the answer. Have you noted? Can we discuss the answer? Actually, cast iron is a brittle material. So for that only it produces discontinuous chips. Okay. Cast iron during machining produces discontinuous chips because it is a brittle material. Cast iron is a brittle material. So during machining it produces discontinuous chips due to brittle in nature. Um, when cast iron and also having a high toughness compared to steel, but anyhow it produces discontinuous chips due to its brittle nature. If it is ductile, it produces continuous chips. What are the materials having? First, you have to know that if the material is having a ductile in nature, it will definitely produces continuous chips. Okay, or sometimes it produces continuous with built-up edges. When the material is brittle in nature, it will moreover it produces discontinuous chips. Okay, discontinuous chips are segmental chips. There are two names are available. Discontinuous chips are segmental chips. The right one is cast iron during machining produces discontinuous chips. Make a note on it. Kindly make a short note. What are the things we are discussing? Okay, it will be very much useful when you are preparing for the examination. Now it is very clear to understand, but after the bulk of the material is combined together, when you're preparing for the examination, have to go through all the things on that time. small hint will definitely helps you to enhance what is the real answer and what is the uh, reason behind the answer. So kindly note down the reasons in a hint. It will be helpful when you are preparing for the examination. Okay, and not again and again suggesting you to do that. For your concern only, I'm speaking. So kindly consider and make a note on it. Can you go for the next one? A single point thread cutting tool should ideally have. A single point thread cutting tool should ideally have zero rack angle, positive rack angle, negative rack angle, point angle. A single point thread cutting tool should ideally have zero rack angle, positive rack angle, negative rack angle, or point angle. Think on it. We will discuss it. I already told you that what is meant by positive rack angle, negative rack angle, and what is meant by zero rack angle. And also point angle. It is easy to describe. Actually, zero rack angle is preferable because a positive or negative rack angle directs the flow of chips to the already made threads. Okay, if hard chips rubs against the threads, it will be damaged. So zero angle is preferable. Okay, zero rack angle is preferable because positive or negative rack angle directs the flow of chips to already made threads. If hard chips rubs against the threads, it will be damaged. So a single point thread cutting tool should have a zero rack angle because what actually happens with a positive rack angle is that the chips formed under the rack face may flow sideways and try to weaken the thread formed. Hence, it is advisable to use zero rack angle for thread cutting and also for brace workpieces. So the right one is second one. Sorry, first one. Zero rack angle. Single point thread cutting tool should ideally have zero rack angle because of its purposes. But in thread cutting, the single point cutting tool with the positive rack angle is used. Okay, here it is advisable for thread cutting. We are here discussing about the thread cutting tool. Kindly note down the answer that a single point thread cutting tool should ideally have zero rack angle. Can we go for the next one? The work or surface speed for cylindrical grinding varies from. The work or surface speed for cylindrical grinding varies from. The different answers are 5 to 10 meters per minute, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, or 40 to 60. The work or surface speed for cylindrical grinding varies from 5 to 10 minutes per minute, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, or 40 to 60. Note down it. Okay, we'll discuss it. Okay. Before we have to discuss about the answer, first we have to know the um, surface feet per meter, SFPM, surface feet per meter for different grinding operations. For cutoff wheels, SFPM is 9,000 to 16,000. For cylindrical grinding, it is from 5,000 to 12,000. For disc grinding, it is 4,000 to 5,500. And internal grinding, it is 4,000 to 12,000. For portable grinding, it is from 6,500 to 12,500. For surface grinding, it is 4,000 to 6,500. For tool grinding, it is 5,000 to 600, 6,000. For weld grinding, it is 9,500 to 14,200. I once again repeat, kindly note down SFPM, surface feet per minute. We have to know that what are the different types of speed for different types of grindings. I will tell you once again, kindly note down. Cutoff wheel 9,000 to 16,000 SFPM. For disc grinding, it is from 4,000 to 5,500. For internal grinding, 4,000 to 12,000. For portable grinding, it is 6,500 to 12,500. For surface grinding, it is 4,000 to 6,500. For tool grinding, it is from 5,000 to 6,000. For weld grinding, it is from 9,500 to 14,200. For these one, the work or surface speed for cylindrical grinding. Cylindrical grinding. So we have to calculate SFM is equal to RPM into diameter, RPM. RPM into diameter into RPM divided by 1000. What is the given RPM? Given is divided by 1000. We have to find out the SFM. SFM is equal to RPM into diameter into RFM divided by 1000. We get a answer. So the shootable surface speed for cylindrical grinding varies from, the right answer is 20 to 30 minutes per meter per minute. Fine. Option C. I already for cylindrical grinding, it is from 5,000 to 12,000 is a standard value. Whereas we have to find out the values by the formula of RPM into diameter into RPM divided by 1000. We get a value. It is a standard value from 20 to 30 minutes per meters per minute. This one is a correct one. Kindly note down. Everybody noted, right? Okay, fine. Okay, let us wind up our session. We will continue our uh, preparation of gate. Have to prepare well and do your examinations well. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.